Hey, Bucket Pond friends, it's raining today, so we're going to be working inside, and I have a very exciting project. We got this huge jar from Walmart. It's beautiful. It's 2 gallons. It's from Anchor Hawking. I can't wait to build. We're going to turn this into a beautiful planted terrarium. Lots of moss, lots of dayflower, some spiderwort, all the good stuff, you guys. So let's get right to it right now. All right, here we go. Yeah, so here's our nice jar. It is 2 gallons and it's from Anchor Hawking. It does have a bit of an occlusion in the glass. I think that's the right word. It'll block our visuals a little bit, but that's okay. It also has a very nice clear lid. It's not airtight, but that's fine. We don't want airtight. We want the clear lid to allow light inside, and we want a little bit of airflow to promote a healthy ecosystem inside. I am using lava rock for this project. This is the very same lava rock from our upcoming video. I get this stuff at Home Depot for a very low price. I avoid lava rock from pet stores and such, which is going to be a bit expensive, and it's the same stone, so yeah, nothing to worry about. But this will be our drainage layer. On top of this, I'm including a bit of our screen mesh that we use in our projects, cut into a crescent shape. And I'm using this to build up what is basically our drainage layer. But I want to leave it open as we're going to have a very small water feature there in the front, like a little pond, pretty much. And we're going to use some of our larger lava rocks to build up a bit of a wall back here, a retaining wall to help keep our soil element towards the back of the tank. While building this, I was in discussion with an AI chat agent, which suggested some very interesting ideas for this build. Um, I actually throw a lot of my ideas at a chat agent, an AI chat GPT type of character, and see what they have to say about my ideas for my projects. It's very interesting what they come up with, and we do employ it a bit here on the channel. But here I am using some very cheap soil. I got this stuff from a dollar store for $2 for 20 pounds. It is various manures mixed with some forest products of old moss and some ground up bark and stuff like that, and a handful of sand. So it's a very cheap, effective soil. It's all natural, and I like to use it in these projects. Over here in the side, on the right side, I'm going to build up a little bit more of our landmass back here. And I want to make a little bit of depth in this container, you know. I am still learning how to do terrariums and paludariums. I am more of a jar aquarium type of dude, but I'm having a lot of fun, and that's where I shine. It's where I want to show you guys, when we're having fun, when we're out here doing things, building a fun project and enjoying it. But there we go. There's our nice earth level there in the background. We're going to have water up to the lava rock, essentially, maybe a little bit lower. Now, if you're building one of these at home, I would probably skip this step, but I am going to include a couple handfuls of our backyard sand, the same sand that we use in our jar aquariums. And this is hopefully to prevent some of that soil from getting down into the drainage layer, completely. Yeah, and also just for a bit of aesthetics, I want to kind of outline our pathway that we're building here. And I am using our Hypnum moss from our mini moss farms video. They are still running strong, and surprisingly, they contain quite a few organisms in there as well. We'll look at them in a moment. But our mini moss farms have been doing very well, and I'm going to upgrade them probably in the next video. While harvesting some moss from our mini moss farms, I noticed that we have earthworms in there, along with millipedes and springtails and a lot of other little friends. So that's very cool. We're going to drop our earthworm buddy in here. If he can live in the moss boxes, I'm sure he can live in this beautiful terrarium that we're building, and it should be an even better habitat. If we end up with a situation where we have too many earthworms, I may have to find a way to remove some of them, but we'll worry about that in the future. And there he is, just squirming away, about to go burrowing down into the substrate. That's really cool, and that makes me a happy guy. We've been accidentally raising earthworms and millipedes and all sorts of other characters off screen, apparently. But here we are building a little bit of a pathway using some landscaping stones I also got from Home Depot. And there's a good look at our moss with millipedes. That's really cool. And I think it's awesome that we're able to maintain these guys. We can keep them going in our mini moss farms. accidentally. They were hitchhikers, but they are distantly related to some of our aquatic friends, and I think that's very interesting. I love having them, and I hope to have more of them. We're going to add a bit more moss here and replace that stone. I might add one more stone as well. But I am very excited, you guys. I love our little millipedes, and I'm going to add some isopods in here as well. But these are the same types of millipedes that you've seen in some of our recent polydarium builds and our ecospheres, and really they're everywhere in our projects now. We're starting to just incorporate them into the creature collection. And these are some of our first terrestrial creatures. I think it's very cool. Now we're going to add some moss into the gaps between the stones, kind of fill everything out a little bit. Not too much, as the moss will grow pretty rapidly for moss, you know. And here we are. It looks great. If you watch closely, you'll see a few of our little friends swarming around throughout the project. Don't be shy or shocked if you see them. But I am very happy with this project so far. Again, this is only like my second terrarium I've ever built, so it's not going to be perfect. We're going to add some spiderwort in here. And this is the same spiderwort that we found in our Looking for Dayflower video that you guys requested. This will get a little bit tall for this project, so I might have to maintain it carefully and do a lot of trimming over time, but that's fine. So we're just going to pull back our moss and get those roots down there a little bit. And this cutting that we have here, or this plant rather, is just a little too tall, so we're going to have to cut it, and we'll have to replant that cutting. But don't be afraid. This plant behaves much like our dayflower, and a cutting can simply be stuck in the ground and grow into a whole new plant very quickly. There we go. And we'll probably put this one on the back wall or thereabouts. Yeah, something like that. And you know, guys, yeah, I skipped the whole activated charcoal, activated carbon thing in this project because I've done a lot of reading, and I don't think that charcoal does much at all, really. I think it's kind of a waste. It might help at first, but quickly it needs to be replaced, and nobody's going to break down their terrarium to replace the charcoal. So, yeah. But looking closely, you'll see a few more of our friends swarming around in there. And we're going to add some dayflower in here as well. This is climbing dayflower. And to be clear, that is small leaf spiderwort there in the background. Might be important to note. But our climbing dayflower is a tried and true old friend. It does very well in our jar aquariums, and these cuttings will take in here very quickly. Ultimately, we'll see a lot of viney, leafy growth coming up of these plants. That will add a little bit of shade to the moss, which it will enjoy, and a little bit of cover for the isopods and millipedes, which they also enjoy. They also eat the leaves, the fallen leaves from these plants, and our dayflower is notorious for dropping leaves occasionally, so this will work out very well. Anything I trim out of here, I'll most likely just cut up and throw back into the project and have it grow its own food, essentially, for the various terrestrial creatures inside. And zooming out a little bit, it looks pretty good. I'm not unhappy with this. We're going to add a little bit more moss back here as I want a little bit of height, and there is some extra bare soil back here behind the stones. These stones should be safe for our terrarium. I hope so. They just appear to be some river rocks that have been tumbled and polished a bit. They should be fine. They aren't painted. And now we're going to add a handful of wild samples. This is full of isopods and springtails and probably a few more millipedes as well. And we're going to put a rock on top of that. And here is where I'm going to add our water. We give these guys a little while to escape and to crawl around before I fill it up with water. But here's a good look at our isopods in one of our tiny shovels in full roly-poly mode here. We'll just add them in there. So I know from the $1 terrarium, our first terrarium, that we are able to care for our springtails. We can feed, or our springtails, excuse me. We can care for our isopods. We can feed them and we can keep them alive. So now the next step is to get them breeding and to establish a nice population, which I hope to do in here. Now we're going to wipe down the jar a little bit after adding our water. I went a little too deep on the water here, but that's fine. We can account for evaporation. You can see I filled it up to that bottom stone there. But as water evaporates slowly from the tank, we should have a decreased water level a little bit, and we'll end up in a nice happy medium. I want a little bit of a pond down here with our stone pathway kind of leading into it. But the plants look good, the moss looks good. The project itself could be a bit fancier, but you know what? I'm new. This is one of my first terrariums. In fact, it's my second. So, baby steps, you guys, baby steps. You don't want to build one of those elaborate, amazing setups right away on your first try. If you can, that's great for you. But generally, you want to start simple. Our earliest ecospheres were very simple. They were very plain and they were functional. They worked and raised terrestrial, excuse me, raised aquatic creatures. And so I hope to do that here with our terrestrial animals as well. They are my top priority. I want to make a nice looking project, of course, but I want to raise them in here. I want to see them breeding and I want to see them living out their lives and feeding and doing all the things that they do. If you look closely at the stones, there are quite a few isopods in here. I could get mixed up, you guys. Forgive me. If you look closely at the stones, you'll see quite a few springtails in here, though they are very tiny and might not appear well on camera from this angle. That's okay, you know. But this is a bucket ponds style project, you guys. So that means that you should invest a lot of patience here. It takes a good year or two before what we build becomes what it's meant to be. But the early steps here, I'm very happy with. And I look forward to revisiting this project in the distant future. In a month, maybe two, maybe 6 months from now, maybe next year. We'll keep this project around. We'll check up on it every so often, and I'll show you anything interesting that develops inside. So, big thank you to our YouTube supporters, all of our Patreon members, and our YouTube members as well. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Bucket Ponds runs in part on your donations, so thank you. And a big old thank you to our buddy Ryan Boscow. My friend, how did I forget your name last time? I am so sorry. Thank you for being cool about it. And that's been bothering me for a while. So thank you so much, guys. Have a great day. Please check out my channel for more content, and I'll see you again very soon. I hope that our isopods and our millipedes do well in here and they can breed and replicate and fully join the Bucket Ponds creature collection.